Hello and welcome back to another episode of TACHES Teaches. I'm Tash and this is part 5 in a series on mindset hacks. Today I'd like to talk about inspiration. We've all felt it, that magical moment of being confronted head-on with a great idea. It seemed to appear out of nowhere, suddenly falling into our laps like the first drops of a rainstorm. We rush to our computer, sketchbook or canvas. We trip over ourselves in sheer excitement as we move to grab our guitar or camera. From somewhere, a brilliant idea has appeared that we manage to channel into the beginnings of a new work of art. I'm sure we've also all felt, perhaps far more often, the dull agony of sitting down to work and feeling nothing. Everything we try feels forced. We reach out to the things that worked in the past, and even they, once brimming with energy and possibilities, feel stale. We start new project after new project after new project, but nothing seems to stick. Oftentimes, we may then tell ourselves that that's it, it's over, the gig is up, we have no more ideas. I think that the way that society paints the picture, inspiration is inherently elusive. The life of an artist is just doomed to be filled with these vast swaths of grey nothingness. This mindset is convenient because it allows us to be lazy and say things like, "Oh well, no use working today because I'm not feeling inspired." It also allows all those who don't understand our ridiculous desire to be artists to say, "Perhaps it's time you get a real job because this clearly isn't working out for you." The problem with the way that society views inspiration is that it takes all personal accountability and responsibility out of the equation. It strips us of our power to change our circumstances for the better. And while inspiration does, of course, sometimes choose to knock randomly on our door at 4 a.m, we simply cannot bank on it showing up unannounced if we wish to be prolific and happy artists. We must seek inspiration, and we must believe deep down that we will always find it. In fact, better yet than believing, we must know that we will always find it, for inspiration favours the positive. Just like the fuel that a car needs to work, inspiration is the fuel that gets us to work. When a car runs low on fuel, we just fill it up. Likewise, when we're running low on inspiration, all we must do is fill ourselves up again. When we feel frustrated and stuck in a rut, we've simply exhausted our reserve of inspiration. How we choose to top up that tank, however, is totally up to us, but the first step is to devise a system. Having a system in place gives us peace of mind so that when we start to feel the arrival of staleness, we can simply revert to our system in search of new fire. We must also learn to recognise our bodily cues. How incoming inspiration feels to me might be very different to how it feels to you. Does it start as a tingly feeling in the hands, or perhaps a feeling of lightness in the mind? Do you start to feel a little bit warmer than usual? Make note of all of the physical sensations that arise when you begin to feel inspired, because the more and more you become aware of these cues, the more and more you will realise that many a times inspiration has rushed right past you without you even noticing. Begin to take note as well of all of the things that empower your inspiration and all of the things that zap it. What are the things in the world around you that bestow upon you or strip you of your creative energies? And what activities, unattached to your work, inspire you the most? Is it reading novels, or walking in nature, or perhaps knitting tiny little mittens? Where possible, adjust your life accordingly to be more in flow with this energy and maximise your exposure to the things you notice fire you up the most. Start to see all of the time that you're not working as merely working away from the keyboard. You're not just lying in the sun, you're gathering new ideas from the sun. You're not just talking with a friend, you're listening to the words formed in the reality of another living being and searching deep within those words for new materials to create with. Inspiration exists always, everywhere, and in everything, and it does not discriminate between good or bad, exciting or dull. There are just so many ways that you can find freshness. I find that I work best when I simply combine different things that I like. I become this mad scientist mixing essences, ever curious about the outcome. What would happen if I were to combine the essence of traditional Korean court music with the rhythms of disco? Or what if I were to create a Mexican-inspired panna cotta using a homemade horchata rather than plain milk? It seems that disparate concepts make for great bedfellows. We could think of it like this. If we were to throw a dinner party and invite a vast selection of all sorts of different people, the evening would most likely produce conversations that we wouldn't have alone. Excitement lives large in the mingling of ideas. The intersection between different sources of inspiration can be a true marvel. And the absolutely wonderful thing is that there are infinite combinations at our fingertips. So start to see everything around you as ripe for the picking. Everything is yours to use. No idea or concept is off limits. Conversations you overhear on the subway, or billboards that you read in traffic, or the aroma of a home-cooked meal. Find in the world around you questions that you would like to answer with your art. Start to ask yourself always, what if? For inspiration favours not just the positive, but the curious too. On that note, become friends with paper. A notebook doesn't need to be charged and there are no notifications to distract you. Carry a small book always and jot down notes of things that made your hands tingle while you went about your regular life. Make little sketches of things that you see that for some reason feel important to you. Make lists of things that you would like to somehow express the next time you sit down to work. If you begin to feel staleness at the door, you can always just open up 2 random pages of your treasure trove of a notebook and begin to combine things. Why not also try crossing your senses? What would the smell of freshly cut grass sound like if you were to play it on the piano? What would the sound of rain on a tin roof look like if you were to paint it on a canvas? There are no right answers, so you can really just let loose and give everything a try. Be really loose and mix concepts with broad strokes. Ask yourself, what is it that makes something actually be that something? Try to extract the fundamental being from concepts and then just paste them onto other things. How much can you remove from something before it is no longer that something? Channel essences from one place to another, like a river moves water across the land, splitting and joining until they meet in the vast majesty of the oceans. When inspired by the work of others, instead of trying to create like that person, why not think like that person, and then create art from that place? Write music as Ernest Hemingway, cook like Frank Lloyd Wright, or hell, paint like Stevie Wonder. Ultimately, however, it's always our responsibility to find the best ways to commune with our inspiration. Try things out and swap them if they don't work for you. Steadily, you will begin to build a toolbox of methods that you can rely on to fill up your tank whenever you feel it running low. See every day as a chance to find inspiration all around you. Now, it's a mistake to think that working is the most important thing, but it's also a mistake to think that seeking inspiration is. In reality, the 2 facets must find a sort of harmonious balance. We breathe in and we breathe out. Work without inspiration is just dull, and inspiration without work is a waste. So fill up your tank, but then get to work. Inspiration should always be paired with a diligent work ethic. So let's search the earth every minute of every day for ideas that move us, and then capture them quickly and efficiently before moving on to the next exciting adventure. There's still so much yet to be inspired by, and still so much more yet to create. Well, I do hope that this video has been helpful. If you enjoyed this, then please remember to like and subscribe. If you'd like to keep up to date with all of the videos I'll be posting in the future, then don't forget to turn on those pesky notifications. And on that note, before it starts to rain again, happy Thursday and happy creating.